So, yeah, I'm very happy to be here. And maybe first, I would like to explain Lindblad is actually a Swedish name. So, but my svenska inte bra. Og dansk kan være svært, så if you're okay, I suggest we try to do it in English, but frågor i svenska are okay. So, let's hit it. The usual safe harbor statement. You have seen that a few times today, I'm sure. Introduction, probiotic market, our company, business update, investment case, Q&A. So 15 minutes. Let's start here. Probiotics, pioneer with a passion for people. So Probi is and was an innovative forerunner in probiotic. And it's absolutely our ambition to improve the well-being of people worldwide. Yet, we should probably start with what is probiotic. So, probiotic is living microorganisms. It's living bacteria. Pro means that it's good bacteria because we also have some bacteria which is really bad. But we are focusing on the good bacteria and how good bacteria can have a benefit effect in humans when given in the adequate quota and amount. So in the human body, there's roughly 40 trillion bacteria, primarily in the stomach, but also in the mouth, on the skin. They have a big impact on your gut health, but it's also proven with clinical study that it can impact your immune system and also production and vitamins and so forth. We'll come more back to that. But this is really the space Probi is in. So our mission is to enable and provide healthier life for people all over the world. So that's actually a great space to work with. So Probi in brief, you can read the highlights here, but let me just share that the Probi journey really began with a vision and some research out of the Lund University back in the 90s. The professors at the hospital there was observing that sick people were having imbalance in their bacteria, and they actually started to experiment, what about if we change the bacterial balance in the patients? And what they discovered was that actually had a significant impact and was actually successfully in that treatment. So that was proven with clinical studies and also since backed with patents. But that's really how it all started. So we are going to take here the business perspective on probiotics. So what kind of market is this? It's first of all a growing market. I think that's important. It's also important to note that it's a market with healthy margins. So that's another big check. So what is really driving it? I listed some of the factors here on the left side. So it's still about digestive health. And that continue, even though that it's not new anymore, but there continues to be a growing focus on this area. There's also a shift towards preventive healthcare. As I said, it started with ill people, but it's now actually lots of consumers is preventively taking bacteria, health probiotica, to actually prevent and be in front of any diseases, but also to raise their well-being. It started a lot with tablets, so the classical supplements, but it's now moving into food and beverages also, so that you can actually mix in small amounts and you get the healthy bacteria with foods and beverages you consume. For all products, clean label is important. Probiotic has a clean label. And what is interesting is also that since this all started 20, 30 years ago, there continue to be science every day which kind of continue to build on the benefits of probiotica. So, who is Probi? This is just some some quick stats and a little bit the market. So, we have a big stake in the US. History is that bought Nutraceutics in 2016, so that was a US-based company, so that's why we're quite big in the US. So other regions are relatively smaller for Probi, yet it's very significant market, as you saw on the previous slide, so that's really an opportunity for us to grow in those regions also. Our business model, in this space, it's really important that it all starts with research and development. That's our world. Many companies is manufacturing based. We are really, our foundation is science. It starts in the lab. When we have found the right bacteria and all the scientific work is done, then we go into production, and we have our own production, which is critical. We have 2 sites, one in Colorado, one in Washington, both US. We are also working on not only producing the bacteria, which happens in big fermentation tanks, but also the subsequent steps when you put this into finished form, so being tablets, being gummies, being all those different things, which is what the end consumer will see. In the Nordic, we are also going direct to customers, so you will see our products in the various pharmacies, especially in Sweden, but also in Denmark, Norway. Yet our core model is to go B2B, and that's what we do worldwide, and to all the big industrialized countries. We are in all those. Good. So let's dive a little bit into innovative solutions. So what does it mean? I spoke to that this was all founded by researchers in Lund, but what we do is we do clinical studies. So we actually take small doses, we experiment or do clinical testing with humans, and we actually scientifically prove that our product works. That is really one of the very important selling points for our products, and that's really what convinced the consumer to use probiotic on a daily basis. So Probi has over the years conducted more than 100 clinical studies, and that is a big undertaking. It takes long time. It's very expensive. So that's quite unique to have this level of clinical studies. And not only clinical studies, we also have more than 300 publications and almost 400 patents. So that's a really strong R&D foundation, which is unique for Probi. How we're doing it, we have our core team in Lund, Sweden, scientists highly qualified, but we also work with academia, with the industry. So Probi is, the size of Probi is such that we actually also is focused a lot on leveraging partnerships. So that's part of our business model too. And again, it's not only size or science, it's also the production facilities and being able to produce when the customer need it, in the format they need it, in the quantity they need it, at the time they need it. So that is really part of the core also. So a little bit kind of the consumer perspective here. As said, there's 2 forms. There's dietary supplements, the pills, you can take morning, evening, whatever, but also food and beverage, that is also growing, as mentioned earlier. And then we have the health areas on the other side. So that is actually expanding. So it started with gut health, but it's now into vaginal health and children's care, skin care, oral care, and there's now kind of identified bacteria, good bacteria, which has a clinical proven benefit in all those areas. So it's still growing. So a little bit on the business. Some financials here. So net sales in first half, 330 million Swedish. Sales growth of 4.8, gross margins 34, EBITDA 17, and you can kind of see that it's going up, or will it? That's the big question. In reality, we are still in a transition phase, and We are very impacted by inventory movements from the customer, that they stock up, the next quarter they don't, timing, so forth. So reality is our quarters have some fluctuation, but what we're looking for is, of course, refinding the growth. So Probi was booming under the COVID crisis and has been kind of flattish since. There's a new management team now in place, and our task is really to make that transition and refine the growth. It's not happening fast. There's long sales cycles. As I said earlier, it starts with clinical studies, which is years and years, but the journey is started for sure. So looking ahead, so as indicated, we are coming from several years where the sales growth has been flat, and EBITDA has been at the level of 19%. We believe that we can make a transition, and the building blocks in that transition is what you see in the middle block. So it is to continue innovation and R&D and new products, and continue to invest. We invest around 8% of our revenue, and we plan to continue to do that. It's about increased presence in our key markets. There are still markets where we can go out and have a stronger presence, more collaborative, more partnerships, so that is being explored. And not least, manufacturing efficiencies. We have observed certain opportunities to improve, so we are quite sure that we can have efficiencies in our manufacturing, and that's why we listed here and communicated to you and to all shareholders. Those drivers we have estimated, and we feel confident that we can get growth back to above market growth. But again, we are in a market, we're in a profitable market, we're in a growing market, so there's no reason that Probi should not be able to grow above 6%. We just need to turn it around. And EBITDA margin, with those efficiencies and more scale, we are confident that we can get above 25% by the end of 2028. So it's about steps. You could say it's not a revolution, it's an evolution. So it's every day doing it better than yesterday. So we are working with our sales pipeline. That's critical. It's all about people. So there's lots of effort in making sure we have the right people in all positions, and it's identifying new growth areas. That's really what it's all about for Probi. And I mentioned transition. There's a new management team. You see it here. Anita, our CEO, joined in 2022. I joined in 2023. Everybody else is also new. I think what characterized this team is that the board thought that there should be a change, and this is kind of representing the change. What is also a characteristic of this team is that all of us has industry experience. So there's kind of experience from DSM in Holland, from Christian Hansen in Denmark, so that's two of the market leaders. Also from Pfizer Healthcare, Feosan, and that knowledge and actually that know-how is helping us day to day. So identifying areas where we can make an impact, and to be honest, some easy wins also. And one of the last slides here is, the gut-brain axis. So the new development is that it's not all about the gut. It's actually proven now, again in clinical study, that those bacteria in our body even impact our mood. It impacts our well-being. It can be shown that people who have the right bacteria versus the not right bacteria in clinical studies have more cognitive power. Isn't it amazing? So that's the new thing, is that it's not all about just well-being in the stomach. It's much more. Super exciting. It's very new. It's question, of course, is if that will have a big sale in the future. But the science is there, which is where it all starts. And that's why you're here, right? Is this a healthy investment? I think there's a few points here. We are in a good position for in a growing market with some global megatrends would work for us. There's increasing consumer interest in preventive health, unique competitive edge. We can streamline operation. We have options to improve there, and a solid balance sheet, no external loans. So we are doing a transition, but we are not in any panic on day-to-day basis. So we are doing the right things every day. With that, I think that was, and it's turning red now here, so time is up, and would love to get some questions also in Svenska. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation here. Just to start here, if we look a little bit on your product portfolio, which is your most profitable product right now?
It's still the 299V. I think I'm not supposed to talk about products and give insights here today, but I think it's a public knowledge that that's our biggest product and still is.
That's the cash cow, so to speak.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
During Q2, you made a couple of marketing efforts.
Yeah.
When do you expect to see the results from those marketing efforts?
Yeah, we are actually shortly introducing a complete new branding concept, and we're excited about that. We are introducing that at Supply Side West in the US at the big trade show, and you will also see it shortly in all the pharmacies that we have a more modern look. So that's one thing, but we are also working with our mission, vision, and kind of how we internally, externally present ourselves and who we want to be. So we work on many dimensions.
I understand. And you talk a little bit here about R&D and so on. How is the pipeline looking for new products right now?
As said, the exciting thing is that we have new launches for a product called Sensia, and other products also, which is focusing on cognitive health, as an example. And our customers is excited. They like to experiment, but they need to see, do they believe that is a market? Will they do the launches? So we have lots of testing with the customers. And our challenge is that the pipeline is quite long. So earlier launches, it can be 2 or 3 years from we are actually launching a product to the customer launch a product. So that's what we live with. So we are excited by this, but we still need to see it. That's our reality.
I understand.
Yeah.
Looking a little bit on your last quarter report, and you mentioned this here as well, that you're a little bit in a transition period when you work on improvements and so on. What exactly are those improvements you want to reach?
Yeah, I cannot be super specific, but manufacturing is one, and that does distinct benefits from that, which we believe will be quite tangible. It's a lot about the organization, having the right people. We have made changes to the management team, and we're now looking at all levels below also. And we need to find a way to grow again, and that means we need to make certain adjustments in our business. So we're working on all those.
But you have no set timeline for when that transition period should be done, or is it kind of?
We have very tangible targets with our board.
Yeah.
So that's we operate in a very organized way with must-win battle, the deadlines, and so forth. So we have a lot of those, but I'm not showing them today.
Yeah. Looking a bit during the last year, your margins have come down a bit.
Yeah.
If you want to pinpoint what should be done to get margins back to historical levels.
Yeah. I mean, the key in this business is top line. So when we start to grow again, we will actually see lots of the cost, not only in manufacturing, but also in all the support functions, will not grow at the same pace. So if we can regrow and start to grow again, we will see growth. Manufacturing improvements will also be a significant factor. So, but we can, in the market, it is, as said before, it's a growing market. It's a market with healthy margins. That's what we see from industry. So there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to get to the levels we indicated. That is certainly possible.
And looking back as well, you have paid out dividend.
Yeah.
How do you see, how is the dividend policy between reinvestment in the company and paying the dividend to shareholders?
Yeah. Probi has always been very prudent, and I think we'll continue to be very prudent with our balance sheet. We have done that because we do have an acquisition agenda, but that's not one you can plan. So for those reasons, we like to have a healthy balance sheet, but we will reassess over time what is the right capital structure for Probi. But I think as a shareholder, what is most important is that Probi has always had a very healthy back cash flow, and we will continue to have a healthy cash flow.
If we're looking a little bit, your HQ headquarters is in Lund.
Yeah.
How come that your production sites are in the US?
That is because Probi made an acquisition back in 2016. At that time, Probi didn't have production, and the size was much less. There was around 30 people or so, and there was a major acquisition of nutraceutics at the time, purchase price of about $100 million. So that was a game changer for Probi, and that was the reason Probi now have a very significant footprint in the US.
Looking outside the US, do you see any? Are you looking into any new markets that you see which could be very profitable in the future, or?
Absolutely. As you saw from one of the earlier slides, the fastest growing market is APAC, and we have a very strong part of our share of our sales force there for a reason. And the reason is we think we can grow in APAC. So we like to see more growth in that region, but also in EMEA and also in the US. So I think we can actually grow in all segments. But target is a lot about APAC also.
Yes.
Yeah.
A quick last question. You mentioned you joined the company in 2023, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you give us some takeaways? How has your first time at the company been?
Yeah, it's of course being Danish and Swedish it's not a big change. So but that has been a good experience. I lived 8 years in Paris before that, but coming up here and being closer to Denmark is great. And working in a Swedish company, I think is very interesting and very engaging. So it's a smaller company than I worked for before and earlier in my career. But I like really being hands-on and being close to the action, and we have lots of action.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation and answering questions here today, and it's going to be exciting following you forward.
Thank you. Thank you.